Okay. So hello everyone, thanks for coming. Jack just took half of my presentation about standing up here. So no, my name is Mike Maley. I'm going to start this off, and then we'll have three other individuals come up, give a little bit of talk, a little bit of information about the proposal here. But first off, this meeting was organized by the opposition to the proposed commercial waste pits northeast of Hennessey. Our intent and what we're going to do is not to bash anybody, but we're going to present the information as it's written down in the two applications filed with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission with the Department of Environmental Quality. At the end of the four presentations, mine included, we will take questions and answer them best we can. And as Jack mentioned, if you would come up to the podium over there so we can catch it. First off, it's just a plat, a simple little plat that's included in the application. You can see the outline of the town, the city limits, sorry to step away. The city limits, and the star in the upper center part is the proposed spot of this facility. So you can see the proximity to the town. It's within, or it's right at 2.3 miles away. There are two applications, as I touched on before. There are two applications filed by two companies with two different agencies, governmental agencies. One being the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, one being the Department of Environmental Quality. So we have two fronts on this item. Starting off with the first company, their LLC is Sooner Solid Solutions. They filed an application with the Department of Environmental Quality. They're proposing to mix fly ash, and I'll explain what fly ash and spent sulfuric caustic in 4 open concrete lined pits. I will explain what those two items are in just a second. The fly ash caustic mix or caustic mixture will be stored on site in 2 clay lined areas. It will then be disposed into larger adjacent pits that tried to be permitted through the OCC, the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, or they said they could use it as a road base or fill material or on pad construction, oil field pad construction. And I'll get into, again, why we don't feel like that's such a good idea, but it is being used regardless of what we feel like. The fly ash, it's a powdery byproduct of coal combustion, such as power plants, coal-fired power plants. This is the leftover. This is the remnants, fly ash, of what's burning that coal. It can pose serious health risks due to its content of heavy metals like arsenic, cadmium, lead, as well as silica particles. Silica particles, if you breathe them in, Dr. Matusik will go into this even more, but if you breathe them in, it can cause respiratory problems. The fly ash is powdery. It's very lightweight. It will be blown by the Oklahoma winds unknown distances, just depending on which direction the wind's blowing. Blowing from the northeast, it's going to come across the town of Hennessey. Blowing from the southwest, it's going to cover my house and others' houses right up there. The spent caustic is a hazardous, highly alkaline liquid waste, which is generated from when sodium hydroxide, which is caustic soda, which is used in industrial processes to remove sulfur and acids and other compounds, primarily with oil refining and petrochemical manufacturing. The application states at this time, Sooner is only accepting waste from Marathon. There are no Oklahoma refineries listed on Marathon's website, so all of this caustic is coming from out of state. Our point is why should we be a dumping ground for other states? Second company and governmental agency is Centennial Solids Control. They filed their application with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. The Centennial site, I don't have a lot of pictures. I don't have any other pictures, so you'll just have to read or listen to me, sorry. But the Centennial site will consist of up to 7 open pits. Each pit will be 350 feet wide, 550 feet long, and 25 feet deep. You may have heard this before. The square footage of those pits at 192,500 square feet is each larger than the average size of a Walmart supercenter by 14, is larger than by 14,000 feet. And that's a Michael Booz, he brought up that fact in that comparison, so I appreciate that. But it puts it all into perspective, how large each one of these pits are going to be sitting out there. Each pit will hold over 1 million barrels or 45,234,000 gallons of waste. That's each pit. That total, in total, each of the 7 pits will hold almost 317 million gallons of this harmful waste. As the contents dry and as they are mixed with the fly ash and spent caustic that I mentioned earlier, as it's all mixed together, it's going to be mounded up 30 feet above the berms. So we have 25 feet plus 30 feet. There'll be mountains of that sitting out there for the wind to catch and blow as it may. With Centennial's application, they've requested variances and exceptions, and I'm going to read this exactly, exceptions to the Oklahoma Administrative Code, or the OAC. These codes are regulations that specify how businesses and organizations can legally operate in the state of Oklahoma. Okay, those are set. Centennial is asking for several exceptions to these rules. The first one, the rule states that a commercial pit facility will not be constructed within 3 miles of city limits of a town the size of Hennessey, or a population of 20,000 or less. The proposed facility is 2.3 miles away from the city limits. Even the schools are within that 3-mile limit. Schools and the athletic fields. Centennial is requesting a variance to this rule. Their application states, quote, "The proposed facility will not adversely impact the city of Hennessey or the health and safety of its citizens." The next exception they're asking for, the rule states that the total depth of those pits are to be 10 feet. They're requesting to be able to dig those pits 25 feet deep. The application also states that the pits will have a minimum of 25 feet separation between the groundwater and the bottom of the pit. Our water out there averages 20 to 30 feet deep. The hand dug well that's there is at 20 feet. We've just recently drilled 2 wells, each at 30 or 33 feet to water. Not the height of the water, but that's where we hit spring water. Several other people in the area have the same comments, same situation there. Another exception that Centennial is asking for with these 7 large pits, that right now the rules state that only water-based mud and cuttings, drilling mud and cuttings and salt-contaminated soils are permitted by the state. They're asking for additional waste such as tank bottoms, oil-based mud, other oil-contaminated soils, things like that, along with the salt-contaminated, but also trash and debris, just trash and debris out there. Used filters, used media, filter media from any site, glycol, amine, caustic wash like we talked about earlier, backwash. Backwash is where you clean out tank trucks, regardless of what they've hauled, because there's no specifications here. Regardless of what they might have hauled, it can be cleaned out. They're asking for it to be cleaned out there. One last exception that I'm going to touch on here is there are rules that states the chloride content, salt content of waste streams are limited to 5,000 milligrams per liter, which if I read it right, closely equates to 5,000 parts per million. Okay, is that right? Is that pretty close, milligrams per liter? Centennial is requesting authorization to remove that limit and so that they can receive waste streams of unlimited chloride content. It's a very dangerous precedent to be set. I know that wasn't my tune. So, in summary about this, if I can be just on a soapbox just for a second. So Centennial Solid and Sooner Solid, they want to mix a highly corrosive liquid which causes severe and long-term health and environmental damage with the powdery dust, the fly ash, which is full of heavy metals and silica. The mixture will either be used on roads or disposed into these open top pits nearby, which already contain oil-based byproducts, trash, and debris. These pits will be dug into our water springs. Then when the pits are full, they'll be covered up and be left there forever. This stuff doesn't break down. These pits will be lined with 2 plastic liners, each 1 1/16 inch thick. That's not very tough, that's not very thick. But the application states that it will be lined with, with a liner like this on top of the compacted clay soils. They're saying that clay soils is going to help as a liner. Our concern that these liners will be compromised as solid trash and debris along with caustic materials are dumped onto the liner. And then heavy equipment is going to be used to pile up even more, that 30 feet higher, right? So they're going to be driving over this. What's that going to do to those liners? So no matter how compacted clay soil is, any liquid present will seep into these eventually, which will then contaminate our ground and the spring waters out in that area. So if you're interested in helping even further, for a lot of you have already expressed an interest, but if you want to join even more, or if you want to join, contact, and I have this on a handout. I have these names and this contact information on a handout. If you didn't get one, stop by the front table where you signed in. But contact our state senators and state representatives for our area. All listed here. Email, phone numbers are listed. Now, you're not going to call up and get Governor Stitt. Governor Stitt's contact information on here. You're not going to get him, but you will get somebody. You'll be able to leave a message or you'll be able to email him. Also listed is our U.S. Senator James Lankford for our area, and our U.S. Congressman Frank Lucas. At the bottom of this page, and which is again on your handout, are the 3 Oklahoma Corporation commissioners, all 3 elected officials. Okay. Here's their email addresses and their phone numbers to leave a message. If you do want to contact them and leave them a message, please be respectful, state concisely and succinctly what you want to say. If you want to protest, tell them you want to protest that sites northeast of Hennessey, but also tell them why. Be it for the fly ash, for the stuff that's going into it, be it for the concern about the groundwater, the closeness, the proximity to the town of Hennessey, or all of it, But let them know your thoughts, let them know your feelings, okay, about this. Like the data centers, I think that Denise brought up earlier today, like the data centers that are being proposed or talked about in the state of Oklahoma. There's been a lot of opposition brought up about that. It's caught the attention of the elected officials. And so now there's talk about maybe not allowing those or putting a little more restrictions, but they're saying they're taking a step back, saying, let's think about this a little bit before we just blindly let it go. So squeaky wheel gets the grease on something like this. Okay, so that's all I have. What I'd like to do now is introduce Brad Schultz. Brad is from the Hillsdale area, just north of Enid. Brad has been part of the opposition and of a site very similar to this one up there. He's going to give us a little bit of information about what they've gone through, and I'll turn it over to him. So thank you, Brad. Oh, sorry, I didn't close out.
No problem. No, appreciate the invite this evening. I'm from the Hillsdale area, so I live about 2 miles east of the town of Hillsdale, near a facility that originally was like a Class 2 OCC oil field disposal site. We had some experience with some of these. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay? We had some experience with some of these substances, and I thought I could shed some light on what this facility or this community may experience if this does come to fruition. I'm an engineer. I've spent the last 26 years in midstream working with hydrocarbons and some of the very similar processes that produce these spent caustics. So first of all, what is spent sulfitic caustic? I think Mike mentioned that to you. First of all, we'll review what pH is. So if you think about pH as a scale from 0 to 14 that measures how acidic or how caustic something is, the typical pH range of spent sulfitic caustic is going to be in the 12 to 13 range. And so that's typically what you would see coming off a refinery. That can vary depending on the treatment process, but that is a typical range. So very high pH, very corrosive caustic material. So how do you make sulfitic caustic? You first take sodium hydroxide, which we've all probably heard of. You mix that with water, and then that has the ability, if you wash it with hydrocarbons, that's where you get the term caustic wash water. So you actually physically will mix a stream of water and hydrocarbons, and that sodium hydroxide will chemically scrub sulfur compounds out of a hydrocarbon stream. So usually we're trying to scrub things like H2S, which you may have heard of, hydrogen sulfide, or a substance called a mercaptan, which anytime you see the RSH symbol, that's a mercaptan. So if you say, I smell propane, everybody can kind of think about what propane smells like. You are not smelling propane. Propane has no smell. You're smelling usually either methyl or ethyl mercaptan.
They can't hear you in the back.
Okay.
That's for me, not for them, so you're gonna have to speak up.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. Use your outside voice.
Okay. Don't know how much of that you caught, but if we think about what is the sodium hydroxide used for, it's used to scrub unwanted sulfur compounds out of a hydrocarbon stream. So hydrogen sulfide is one of those compounds that's naturally occurring. You want to scrub that out. And then these things called mercaptans. So when you smell propane or you smell natural gas, you're not smelling the actual hydrocarbon, you're smelling a mercaptan that is added. And you can think about how foul that odor is. So when the sodium in that reaction is fully consumed, you get to a point where you have spent sulfitic caustic. And that's one of the materials that Mike, as he noted, would be used in a facility like this. So what is H2S? Hydrogen sulfide is a colorless, highly toxic, flammable gas. When we reference, we say parts per million, just to give you an idea of what does that mean when we say parts per million. If you think about a 15,000 gallon swimming pool in a backyard, if you poured about 2 ounces of fluid in that 15,000 gallon swimming pool, that would be equivalent to about 1 part per million. So it's a very small amount, very small concentration of something. H2S has a strong rotten egg odor at low concentrations. You're actually desensitized to it. You lose your sense of smell as that concentration rises. So at low concentrations, it has a very strong rotten egg odor. 1.5 ppm, you get the smell. 10 ppm is respiratory irritation. And at 100 ppm, you could go into respiratory failure. So a very small amount of H2S can lead to a severe injury or death if not properly managed. It's also heavier than air, so it's going to sink and accumulate in low-lying areas. So what sulfitic compounds result? If you react sodium hydroxide with H2S, you form this substance called sodium hydrosulfide or sodium bisulfide. You can also form what we call sodium sulfide or these other compounds called sodium mercaptides. And really all three of these smell really bad and they're highly reactive. And those are the sulfur compounds that will be present in a truckload of spent sulfitic caustic. And the concentration is going to depend on the hydrocarbon stream that was treated, the pH of that truck. But those are the three sulfitic compounds of concern that would result. So what happens if you just dump this in an open pit? We saw this happen near Hillsdale. And so we have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen and what type of experience the community would have. As you begin to lower that pH, which really everything in the environment acts to lower the pH of that spent sulfidic caustic once it is exposed to the environment. So the biggest thing I'm concerned with when that happens is you're going to start gassing off H2S. And so you'll get and we experience this again in Hillsdale, you'll get that initial rotten egg smell that results from these compounds being exposed to the atmosphere, to rainwater, to various just common things in the environment. The sodium mercaptides, they easily degrade into various forms of mercaptan, so you'll have a lingering long-term odor. The thing unique about these mercaptans is that they have olfactory detection in the parts per billion, so extremely low concentrations, you can smell it, and smell it at a great distance. So basically toxic, flammable, odorous gases are emitted, and the environment tends to drive down the pH, which drives the reactions to emit these odorous compounds. So what happened near Hillsdale? Between February 4th and February 10th of 2025, there was about 11 truckloads, which was about 250 tons of spent sulfidic caustic were dumped into an OCC commercial pit that contained oil field related waste. What we experienced was a very strong rotten egg smell initially. And you can read the public accounts. There was an Enid News article that came out that gave a lot of firsthand accounts of what people experienced. It was followed by what I would call mercaptan odors. So we had these very unique raw onion, skunk, which when a skunk sprays you, that's butyl mercaptan. So dead bodies was how some people described it. We had an initial foul odor radius of 8 miles, so I went out, drove around, figured out based on the wind direction where I could smell it. That initial radius was 8 miles. That shrunk over time. But if you think about an 8-mile radius from the Hillsdale area, we were actually, within the city limits of Enid, within the communities of Hillsdale, a lot of the housing additions that are on the north side of Enid, stuff like that. Multiple families were impacted. I live about a mile from the facility, so it was definitely an impact, including the city of Hillsdale. So what I did was took duct tape, sealed all my windows, did the best I could, multiple rolls of duct tape. We did the best we could to seal the house up. We paid attention to the wind direction every day. We kind of lived our life around the wind direction for a while until this dissipated. So we do have a group of us that are very concerned. I'm not surprised that this is being proposed again in the state of Oklahoma due to just the economic conditions and some of the economic drivers of spent sulfidic caustic. But we have an ongoing dialogue with the OCC, the ODEQ, and the EPA. I will tell you the OCC has been very helpful. So I give them a lot of credit for just helping us address our concerns and promptly stopping the dumping. So we're very thankful for the quick action and the continued cooperation from the OCC. And my current focus, or our community's current focus, is just we don't want this to happen again to another community. We don't want this to happen to Hillsdale again. And that's really the primary reason why I'm here tonight. So I've had people ask me, has this happened before? And you can go out and research this yourself and see various reports of where spent sulfidic caustic has been dumped. Probably the one that comes to everybody's mind is what happened on the African coast. So there was basically a ship that contained this same material. Europe rejected it. They said, you're not allowed to unload this in Europe. They brought it to basically the Ivory Coast of Africa. They offloaded it from the ship and they dumped it in various open pits around the town. They had some fatalities. They had a lot of hospitalizations, but kind of predictable results, right, as to what happens when you dump this in an open pit. And I found one other case I tried to find something close to what would happen in an oil field related pit. There was a case in the 1970s in Louisiana where they had a fatality from similar processes. I think we're gonna hold questions till the end.
Yes, if you don't mind, yeah.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad, yes. That was good, that was good. Next, I'd like to ask Dr. David Matusik to come up and give a little talk about some of the harmful effects of these
Go
items.
back to your slide,
Go back to my slide, yes.
where the variances were. And
Are we
where it
still on?
says no health concerns.
No.
It's about a third of the way through.
Let's see, yeah.
Where the other
Okay.
presentation?
Oh, there we go. Is it?
I think that's probably on your,
Is that it?
yeah, it is.
Okay.
There we go to your presentation. Sorry about that.
Sure, no, that's all right. Is it?
It's about a third of the way.
I sure can. This one?
Yes.
Let me blow it up. Did we lose our screen, Jack?
Oh, I unplugged.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't even notice that.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Here we go. All right.
Mike, how you get that to come out?
Should. Do we have to touch the screen? Jack, is there a way?
No, can you change to dual screen on your computer?
It's already there. We already did that.
No,
Oh.
it's
Oh, dual screen.
duplicate screen. There you go.
Okay. So that'll give them the big
Yeah.
picture. You'll be able to
Yes.
read that here.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm David Matusik. I'm a retired physician, practiced.
You're gonna have to speak way up, please. Sorry.
Usually I'm pretty loud mouthed. I'm David Matusik. I practice in Enid, Oklahoma for 40 years. I've been retired 5 years now. And when this project came to our attention, it was a project that basically Mike's wife saw a notice in the Kingfisher paper, and there was no notification of surrounding landowners. The town of Hennessey was notified, but the surrounding landowners were not notified. And there may not be a state law that you have to do that, but what concerned us was the no notification. And then the more we started digging and looking at this situation, Mike did a great job of presenting the variances or the exceptions that they have requested. So the state law says you can't do these things, but they're saying, well, we want to do them anyway. And that's the variances that we're dealing with. There were 9 of them. So this is what will get your attention. The proposed facility will not adversely impact the city of Hennessey or the health and safety of its citizens. That is the claim by the individuals who are wanting to put this in. My response to that is, who says? Who says that that's not going to impact the safety and health of our citizens? Because as Mike has said, when you're taking fly ash, it has lead in it, has mercury, cadmium. It also has silica. And silica, there is a lung condition called silicosis. And it causes fibrosis of the lungs. It causes enlargement of lymph nodes in the lungs. And it's seen in people who work in rock quarries because of their exposure to the dust, the silica dust, as they work in those quarries. So I just don't know how you can say that. And of course, we have contested this. The fly ash that Mike mentioned, it will blow. It is small, tiny glass spheres is what it basically is. And it will blow over town. It will blow over the residents out there. And it will have health issues. It also, fly ash contains radon. And if you remember a few years ago, there was a big thing about radon in your homes, to open your doors, open your windows, because radon is radioactive. And if this contains radon, it's no different. It's going to have adverse effects. So, as Mike has explained, with the size of these pits, they propose liners in the pits, 1/16 inch thick, basically 60 mils. And Mike is correct. I don't see how those liners are going to hold up under heavy equipment as they push this material around and mound it up. There's no way. And in fact, we've been told that there is no pit liner manufactured that will not leak eventually. That will not leak eventually. So this material is there forever, like Mike said. And when you mound it up 30 feet high, you have rainwater, obviously, that's going to come down. And sometimes we get pretty big rains here. You know, we've seen it 5 inches and greater. And that material is going to go somewhere. It's going to wash down somewhere. And I think they have proposed that they will have monitors, water monitors. But you can have the natural heavy rains, and we do see them, and this stuff's going to go somewhere. So when you get that contamination, just like they had up at Kremlin, you know, the cat is out of the bag, basically. And then you're looking at, what are we going to do to clean up our ponds? And I have 2 ponds within a half a mile of this. And did you have cattle deaths up there in Kremlin?
It wasn't direct, there was another event that led to fish kills and things like that, pre-contamination.
But the potential for contamination is there. So my fear is, I have a private well. It's what we use in our house. It is actually drilled 50 feet deep, 50 to 60 feet, but there is water up 10 feet from the top of it, a standing column of water in the casing. So I think that there's a real potential for this stuff to be in our private wells, in our ponds, and in our streams. And I don't think many of us would want to be drinking that. And as we've started this process, I've read pretty extensively. And there was a recent article, I sent it to Mike, about an incident that occurred in Arcadia, Oklahoma. A couple, to make a long story short, a couple built a home. They drilled their private well. They were in an area where there had been a lot of wells plugged. Basically, once their water well was drilled, they built a new home, moved in. They started watering their plants, their shrubs, and everything they had planted. They all died. Their water started tasting salty and oily. Their ice cubes were salty. Their faucets were all corroded from that contamination. And through a long series of investigations, they found that there was a well. It was an injection well. So this is a little different, but the point I'm making is contamination. The injection well had a hole in the casing, and it was contaminating their water well. Unfortunately, to solve the issue, it took $2 million of state taxpayer money to go in and bring rural water to that housing area. So we have all talked about this, and once we get contamination, what do we do? What do we do to protect our health? And what do we do with fly ash going around? And we're breathing that stuff, spherical glass. So I don't see how anyone can say that this will not adversely impact the city of Hennessey and the health and safety. Our response is, who says? You know, we live here, we're going to have to put up with it. So that's why we've had all these sessions to inform the community. We've formed a group, and we are certainly protesting this heavily. And we need your help. We need your help by calling your The Corporation Commission, we need your help by calling our state senators and representatives, and on up the ladder if you'd like. So with that, we're going to open it to questions.
First one, do you want to-
I might just have a couple of comments.
All right. And for those that don't know, this is Michael Booz. Michael is the attorney which we have hired to help us fight this project. So, thank you, David.
I'm glad to see such a good turnout this evening. I am the lawyer, and of course, I don't know if any of you all know the difference between a good lawyer and a bad lawyer. A bad lawyer can drag a case out indefinitely, and a good lawyer can drag a case out even longer than that.
Thanks.
I'll let you decide which one I am after it's over. My main point that I want to hammer home with everyone here today, and Mike has touched on this in his presentation, is that I am a tremendous fan of the democratic process. While we're going to do everything we can from a legal standpoint to challenge these permits, and while we are doing everything we can from a legal standpoint, I cannot hammer home and stress enough how important it is for each one of you to contact your state and local and even federal representatives. Because at the end of the day, that's what this comes down to. It comes down to how you collectively want your community to be. I'll point out, a lot of people don't know this. People that vote all the time do, and I'm not making a judgment on people that don't, but please go vote. The corporation commissioners are elected to 6-year terms. Every 2 years, there's a new corporation commissioner up for election. Commissioner Hyatt is termed out this year, and so we don't know who may be the person that replaces Commissioner Hyatt, but please go vote. Your vote counts. Your feedback to your elected representatives really does matter. Don't take your democracy for granted. The next thing I want to point out is for those of you that attended or watched the DEQ presentation we had, I believe it was in early January, you're going to hear some talk about how, well, this is not hazardous waste. It's classified as non-hazardous waste. The term hazardous waste is a legal term of art that has its genesis in federal statutes. That distinction was made, in my opinion, for policy reasons. Like every good piece of legislation, there's negotiation and compromise that goes into that. But what I want everyone to take away from this meeting is that just because something is classified as non-hazardous waste doesn't mean that it's safe. Non-hazardous does not mean non-harmful. And so when you're talking to your fellow citizens, to members of the community, to anybody, keep that in mind. I think Mr. Schultz did a great job of presenting exactly what this waste may be as asked for in these applications. And I want everyone to keep that in mind and spread the word on that. And then again, that's my third point. And then I'm going to sit down and let everyone ask some questions, is spread the word. Again, this ties back to how vociferously I support our democracy at all levels, local, state, and federal. And it only works when we all show up and do it together. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate everyone's comments there. So we will, as I leave this up, in case anybody wants to write down any more, again, it's on all these contacts are on the handout that's at the front desk where you signed in. So if you didn't get that, go ahead and pick one of those up. Are there any questions?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, why don't you just use this microphone?
okay.
Yeah, just.
My name's Tim Taggart, on Taggart's Garden Center. Tell you where I feel on this deal, because it's going to affect me as much as anybody. Because David has a farm a mile northwest of me, another farm just about a mile to scroll flies southwest of me. I understand that's going to be part of these big piles of whatever it is. I was hoping tonight somebody would be here that's going to dump all this crap on us and have a couple of jars of toxic material to show us. I have never seen it, don't know anything about it, but I do know I'm 85 years old, so I'm not going to live long enough to see this thing leak probably. I'm sure it'll probably last for 10 years or so. But what's going to happen in 20 years, 25 years? I'll even go to 100 years. If that thing starts leaking and contaminates Hennessey's water supply, it'll kill the town. It's deader than heck. I've seen this happen. It's happened over at Pitcher, Oklahoma with their mining.
That's right.
And it could happen to us. And I don't know how to stop it, I'll tell you that. I don't know how David got involved in all this. He's been a friend of mine for years, and I still consider him a friend. But folks, I don't know how to stop it. We've got a lawyer hired. I don't know how good he is, don't know the man, but anyway, I want it stopped, and I don't know how to do it. But I just kind of thought I'll tell you all how I felt about it. But I figure I'm as close to it as anybody here. That stuff, it's fly ash, I don't know what it is. But if it's toxic, you know, I've been to Albuquerque a few times in South Texas. And there's miles and miles and miles of land out there that's good for nothing. It wouldn't contaminate their water supply because they don't have one. It's not going to affect their citizens because there's nobody living out there. Why don't they move that stuff out there? And I understand all this is coming from out of state. I say if it comes from out of state, keep it in their state. Is that great? I don't know. I'll just do my part to help stop it if I can, though. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Taggart. You got it? Yeah, I was gonna help you out. Thank you, appreciate that.
Yep.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Taggart. Whoop,
Yep.
lost the internet connection. That's all right, I guess, well, we still have that up here. Those comments, you know, they have to hit home, right? And Mr. Taggart just said what a lot of us are feeling over there in that area. Are there any other questions?
I'll make a comment.
Sure, come on up, Charlie.
Which one you want to
It-
hit? Okay, yeah. And I want to attest to what Mr. Taggart said. If you haven't ever been to Pitcher, Oklahoma, folks, you need to drive through. Because there is nothing left in Pitcher, Oklahoma, and a whole lot of dead people to go along with it. But so I wanted to touch base on the fly ash. They bring the fly ash in the trucks. You know, David's bringing it in, and they're piling it. And I've got pictures I gave to Mike and showed to the attorney out here, but I get dusted with fly ash when the wind is out of the north. I mean, enough that it covers everything. It just blows like crazy. It will blow like flour. I mean, that's what it blows like. It'll just blow in there, and you're going to have piles of it up there by your house.
Yes, sir.
And once they mix it together, it's still another deal, but you're starting it off with what they're bringing in to dilute is still going to be blowing around on you anyway. So that was my deal. And there are some pictures floating around if anybody wants to see them. So.
That's right. All right, thank you. Thanks, Charlie. Anybody else? Yes, Susie.
Susie Bird, Indian News and Eagle. Brad, this question is for you.
Can you come up and talk on the microphone?
Oh,
Okay. She wants to talk to Brad.
My question is you told everybody about the fact that they hauled in the stuff that smelled. It's my thought here, and I get things wrong sometimes, even if I do right but wasn't it a year or so before when the place out there flooded? It seems like to me we had like a 5 or 10 inch, well, it was a big rain, maybe not 10 inches, but over
Yes,
5 inches.
Yes.
And also we mentioned the fact, didn't this was originally with someone and it sold to someone else, this pit out there, is that right?
That's right.
So you don't
Originally
ever
owned-
know when that will happen.
That's
The
right.
other thing is, when the water, it really flooded out there, a lot of rain, then it went over the edges. It's my understanding that there's a lawsuit out there, ongoing since '24, because it got down into, is there a name of a creek?
9 Mile Creek.
9 Mile Creek. It got into 9 Mile Creek, the creek for a lot of different ranchers out there that have livestock out there, herds of cattle. It got into 9 Mile Creek, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so they had to take their cattle off, all that area out there. I know a little bit about this because one of them was my son-in-law. And so
Who's your son-in-law?
TJ Zolodek.
Yeah, they've got a farm just on the right of the side.
No other comments about him, please.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's still a lawsuit about that. Now, did the commission come out and clean that up?
That was cleaned. That was summer of 2023. That was cleaned up. There are still some what they call total dissolved solids. So they did some TDS testing recently by the EPA. It's all public information. You want to go to the EPA, look at the report. But basically, there's still saltwater contamination in 9 Mile Creek from that event. And we're working with the EPA on that.
So I've talked to some farmers out there, and some of them were damaged because they had to move their cattle, or they had rented it, ready to go, and then they had no place to put their cattle. So that caused some loss. Is that kind of the way it went, something like that?
That's correct. Yeah.
I know that, and they had to fence around 9 Mile Creek to keep animals from the cows from getting in there. And so, did they dump in there again, this stuff you're talking about, after they had this, big rain?
No, I guess the main point, and really the reason I'm here, is just to speak to what spent sulfidic caustic is. That is the substance that was dumped in the commercial pit. And so that is the liquid that's being proposed to be blended with a solid, this silicate material called fly ash.
But my point is, it happened like a year or so later, right?
Well, that event was in 2023.
Yeah.
The event that I'm talking about happened in February of 2025.
So there was no
close
regard to the
proximity.
fact that this might leak.
But
Yes.
unrelated chemicals, I will tell you that. This was pre-dumping of spent sulfidic caustic.
But they didn't hesitate to continue to use this pit after there'd been damage, is that right? I mean, pretty much?
It was a different pit. There's
Okay.
multiple pits on this property, but the one you're talking about was a different one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, similar site, but different occurrences with this. And, of course, some of you, my wife hears it all the time, there are no coincidences. And they started having the problem in February. Wasn't there some smell that came from south of town? I guess, right, in February of 2025. So,
Are you talking about in Hennessey?
yes.
Yeah,
Hennessey.
so we live south of town and we actually have that. It's like a dead animal smell. We have it every once in a while still.
Okay.
And so that was my question for Dr. Matusik. I don't know where you went.
No, it's right.
Oh, you're right in front of me. I was looking back towards your wife. So when you get those smells, I know that it can cause issues for your lungs, but I'm thinking of like neurotoxins. Like I teach special education. I have 3-year-olds through 1st grade. And so I've been reading a lot about like neuroplasticity and how like neurotoxins can completely transform children's brains, where you have children, it looks like they have ADHD, they have all of these symptoms and autism, all of these things. And I'm thinking if we can smell these things, then I'm sure it's more than just what we're breathing in, that it's going to impact their neurotransmitters. And so that's kind of what I was wondering, and how that would impact like coming in on our schools and all of our families.
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that I can really answer the neurotoxicity part of it. Pulmonary wise, yes. You know, the smell that you're smelling means there's something in the air,
Right.
okay? I've not read, and I've read a lot since we've started this, I've not read anything on neurotoxicity, though, that it's been indicated in that. But if you're living out there, do you live out where the fly ash is?
Yes, so we live in the mile section between Sooner Solutions and then, I guess there's 2 mile sections, and then where the new pit is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have you seen fly ash at your house?
I mean, I'm not sure because our roads are so dusty. Like, how can you distinguish the difference?
Well, I know some people who have lived out there have told me that they know that the fly ash is blowing around them because of the fact that they can't keep their house clean.
Right.
And it's not just road dust.
Yeah.
It's more than road dust. So I wouldn't be too concerned about neurotoxicity. I would be concerned about the pulmonary aspects of it, and what you're breathing in.
Right. And you also said like H2S is a byproduct of this decomposing, right?
Of caustic backwash
Yes.
mixed with fly ash.
Because that's concerning too. I mean, H2S can cause so many
Well, you don't-
issues. We know that from some of our wells around here that emit H2S.
Right. So the H2S is the rotten eggs.
Right.
I mean, that you smell. And it takes a fair amount of that, I mean, to knock you over dead. But chronic long-term exposure, I
Right.
mean, that's not good either. So, but I haven't read anything about neurotoxicity.
The H2S can be fatal at 100 parts per million if you're really sensitive to it. When it gets to 900 parts per million, it's instant death, right then. You can start smelling it at like 3 parts per million. At 10 parts per million, if you're on a job, the job is supposed to shut down and clear the area on an oil well.
Yep.
And that's why you see a lot of these guys working the oil field have got
Badges.
got the yellow little box on them. That's a H2S monitor, and when it goes off at, I think, 8 or 9 parts per million, it might be 10.
That's what I've been told by the guys who work out there in it.
And those are OSHA rules. Those are OSHA
Yeah, that's
guidelines.
OSHA rules right
That's
there.
government guidelines. And by OSHA rules, a long-term or prolonged exposure of only 2 to 5 parts per million is harmful to your health. Okay, but Danny's exactly right as far as the levels there of the H2S.
I also have a friend that said he didn't ever carry a H2S monitor, because at 5 parts per million, he starts having bodily functions that make him have to leave location.
Thank you for that mental picture.
I just thought I would throw that out there, it might make everybody think about what's going on. You know,
That's right, that's right.
so, you know,
Okay.
that's a minor thing. He said, I can tell when it's present before you smell it.
Right, right.
You know, one of the things that has impressed me is how much material they're going to dump in each one of these pits, and they've proposed 7 pits. So, and it really is there forever. If it's 25 feet deep and you're bulldozing it up 30 feet above the berm or the ground level, that's a lot of material. And, you know, I just cannot see how any pit liner is going to hold up under that. And when they put pit liners in, I've been told that they seal the edges together. So it's not like it comes in one big, I guess you'd say, massive roll that you unroll that is already contiguous. I mean, without any seams in it. There will be seams in these, and they're going to leak.
All liners leak.
All liners, yeah, that's why we were told they don't make that animal. They do not make that type of liner that will withstand this kind of pressure on it. And the problem that I see too is just like this lady in Arcadia, once everything was contaminated, it took state taxpayer money to come in and help her. So we're taking out-of-state waste with the potential for the Oklahoma taxpayers having to clean up this stuff in time. I can't see anything good about this. They keep mentioning good cause in their initial application. I don't see any good cause. I don't see how they can prove good cause. Michael, can you speak to that? Come up here.
We have asked them to, well, at the outset, the application, I think was fundamentally flawed. It lacked factual statements as to what that good cause was. At this time, they plan to go back and amend that application to tell us what they allege this good cause may be. And so, as of today, we're still waiting to see, and this is my opinion, what excuses they come up with. But in my opinion, there is no good cause for this. The other thing I want to point out, and all of you are intelligent folks and you already understand this, but at the end of the day, once the damage is done, there won't be enough private money behind this to keep anybody whole. And that's my big fear for everybody. This will be there forever. Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will all have to deal with this. And that's why we're trying so hard to stop it today.
Got a question. If this was to pass, and he gets to go ahead with this right here, there is absolutely nothing that's gonna stop him from putting one on the east side of town, one on the west side of town, one on the south side of town as he grows. It's not gonna be, if we don't get it stopped, it could escalate to, we are the next pitcher, and this is nothing but a ghost town.
saying.
You know, cause it,
And that's my future. I don't want this in any Oklahoma community. I don't want our state to be a waste dumping ground for other states.
Mike? Yeah, yes, well, Jack, sorry, I didn't see you, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Yeah.
great. You're fine.
Tell my wife that.
quit believing.
Okay, my name's Jack Tony, and I have a farm just less than 3/4 of a mile north of this place. And our groundwater is 10 to 12 feet deep. And there's no way, I don't see a way, they can dig a pit 25 foot deep in this country, can they? Can they, Mike? Can they, Bray? Like digging a shale pit, can you dig one 25 foot deep without water?
I don't see any way.
I don't think that's feasible
I
possible.
don't think there's gonna be a clay bottom out in our part of the country either, it's gonna be shale.
Well,
Sharp shale's gonna play hell with the pit.
Anyway, I don't think that's possible to dig a 25 foot dry hole so you could start hauling dump in there. Another thing that always hit me is who's going to monitor the trucking? What's to say they're going to bring radioactive stuff in here? Where are they going to come from? Wyoming? Pennsylvania? We don't know that. There's not going to, there'd have to be somebody there to monitor and see a bill of lading on every truckload that's dumped in that place. And there's no, they have not put anything to that effect. Have they, David?
No,
So
no, I haven't seen.
I think that would be something that had to be addressed
sure,
too.
sure, you're right.
But the first thing that'd be addressed is if they're gonna dig a 25 foot deep hole out there, they're gonna have a 20 foot deep lake. Right? I mean, that's why I see it, cause I'm, like I say, I'm not very far from there. And in the last 5 years, I dug 2 wells and the water's 12 foot deep. Okay?
Good point, good point. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you. I just had one more kind of question. I don't know if we have an answer for it today, but another thing that was very concerning to me, it's kind of going on the neurotoxins and that sort of thing, like autoimmune diseases. They're just exploding nowadays, and I cannot see us bringing all of these things that are not supposed to be in contact with our bodies, and our body's able to process them out, and us not have more autoimmune diseases. And I'm thinking of, so my 7-year-old daughter, she has juvenile arthritis, and she was diagnosed with it after we moved out south of town. And Like just her last year, she would have to take breaks on the playground from running because her knees would hurt so bad. And it is concerning to me because I'm thinking you said you don't know the research. Like that's probably because there's not enough research about this. So I don't want to be the guinea pig. I don't want my family to be the guinea pig. I know that looking around, it looks like my husband and I and Samantha are probably some of the ones with the youngest families in here. And they're really the ones that are going to be impacted. I go to school, all of my babies at school, they're the ones that are going to be impacted. And it's very concerning to me because you're thinking about autoimmune diseases. And I know that neurotoxins and that kind of research, it's new getting out there, but there's a lot of big things going and causing depression, your neurotransmitters not working correctly. And if we ever uncover anything or anybody has any articles ever, I would love to see that because I feel like that is something that could really have a huge impact on our community. And some people in our community might not even realize that those are questions to ask. Like, how is it going to impact our health in those ways? Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna cut you off. Keep
No,
going.
that was my biggest thing. That was my biggest thing because I just see how my Ansley deals with arthritis at 7 years old, 6 years old. That is not fair to her. And so I don't want that for our other babies. And then you think about them growing up as caregivers. Like, if they're already crippled growing up as children, how are they going to be as caregivers to their children?
Yeah, you're talking about juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the slide I had Mike pull up when they say there is no adverse effect on the health of the community. That's a non-truth. I mean, it's a non-truth. And I don't see how you can say that because what you're dumping in there, what we've heard they're proposing to dump in there, it's going to have some adverse side effects, folks.
Once contamination occurs, you never
No.
get rid of it.
The game's over, once it occurs, that's right, that's right.
To
And
add
you know-
on to a little bit of Amanda's, like, where we live is just a half, I got.
You can do this.
We just live, we won't even be a half mile, south of where these pits are. And I have an 11-year-old son that has asthma. So, I mean, I would imagine that ash fly is gonna be
That's-
brutal on him.
Yeah, that's not going to be very compatible with asthma at all.
Right.
Asthma is bad
So, I mean,
enough.
That's another thing that a lot of these kids have. If they're out here on the playground every day and you got a north wind, your
Yes.
kids are gonna be breathing, your grandkids are gonna be breathing that in every day with
Yes.
the north wind.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's another medical, situation, so.
Okay, talking about breathing this in, you know, the fine dust that you were talking about, does anybody know what micron filter would take to filter that out of your air?
I do
Because
not
we
know
got into
that.
with COVID. Everybody said, well, you gotta wear a mask with COVID. COVID would go through a 5 micron mask and you put on any mask and well, all you're doing is rebreathing your own air and still breathing in the COVID. So the dust, it's got a size that will take that fine, maybe a 3 micron filter to filter it out. So do we put those in the school system so that the kids
Oh my
can
gosh.
use it during school? You put those in your house?
No, what we do is we stop this damn thing. That's what we do.
I'm just throwing something
Yeah.
out there.
Jocelyn, come up here.
I'm Jocelyn Matusik. I'm a senior here at Hennessey High School. My grandfather is Dr. Matusik. And so, and I've been living here for 5 generations. And first of all, I don't really want to come back here and visit my parents as an adult with kids. And then my kids saying, what's that over there? And then telling them that's a big waste facility that has all this harmful stuff. And I also have asthma, and recently, and I run track, and recently they just sprayed the grass, and so I've been having a lot of attacks out there. And think about just thinking about how harmful that is, just like the spray stuff they put on the grass. Think about how harmful that's gonna be from stuff that's from nuclear facilities. But, I mean, think about, like, it brings back, like, that stuff that had like radioaction. And I am also a volunteer for the Oklahoma Conservation Commission as an Oklahoma Blue Thumb member. I monitor Turkey Creek. I'm the first volunteer from Kingfisher County and one of the youngest ever in Oklahoma. And the thing is, I don't want to go out to my creek and test the waters and find arsenic. I don't want to go take a fish collection and find out all the fish are dead. I don't want to go dig for larvae or bugs and find that there's nothing there. I don't want to have a dead creek. And that's what's going to happen if that facility is out there. It's all going to blow off. And the thing is, and we get a lot of rain, and it's going to contribute to, it's going to run off. That's one of the big problems I see in my creek is from fertilizer runoff, from crops nearby. And I see things like orthophosphates, extremely high chloride levels. Even recently I've been seeing nitrates, which is not good. But the thing is, that stuff is going to run off, get in our crops, run off and get into our streams. And think about that, if it's soaking into our water, it's going to harm the crops. And I'm from a huge family of farmers, and think how that's going to affect us. Think about the livestock drink, and again, think about our livestock drinking from the streams. It's not just going to harm that, but it's going to harm the people who own the land. And think about that, Hennessey's going to be no more if this happens. Nobody's going to be, farmers are not going to be able to grow any livestock or crops here. And I just don't want to come home after college or after I build a family and come home and there be nothing left. That's very
And that's very true. That's very true. I think Charlie mentioned Pitcher, Oklahoma, what it's looked like. If you don't know what's going on there, Google it, look it up.
Makes it even better if you drive through.
Well, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does.
Well, the
Contacting these individuals listed here, we may have to set new policy. It may have to start right here, okay? Because you think about, well, how in the world would anybody approve something like this after everything that we've heard and that we've read? If there were no chances, there wouldn't be exceptions to the rule. There are exceptions, there are variances, which they have applied for. So there could always be that chance, all right? As wrong as it sounds to us, it could be. So that's why we can't just say there's no way they can approve this. There is a way from both sides, either the Corporation Commission or the Department of Environmental Quality. This is where we start. This is where we start working on these individuals here, especially this, and again, they've all been contacted. They all know about this site. You don't have to explain from square one. They know about this site. Each and every one of them know about this. So if you send them an email, if you call and talk to them, leave a message, you just have to say Northeast Hennessey, commercial waste facility, northeast of Hennessey. They will know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so don't be shy about it. If I can talk to these guys, you can too. All right.
Mr. Lawyer Booth,
Michael.
how was the, I don't know what they proposed.
My hearing is terrible. I apologize. Could you possibly come up so I can hear a little bit better?
What? There was something
Susie.
proposed between Okarche and Kingfisher.
I'm sorry, what's
There was
that?
something proposed between Okarche and Kingfisher. Was that like this? They
Yes.
knocked it down.
Same company. And I'm sorry, I'm Mike Sparks, I'm the county commissioner here.
How did
Yes,
they,
it was.
how did they knock, I mean, they knocked that down.
Well, wait.
Is it the same?
It's- It could have been, it was the same individuals, is a complete separate operation, complete separate facility. They were starting out going to the commissioners of the land office. This was school land down there, okay? They were, I think.
Land swap.
Well, they wanted to do a land swap. They wanted to take ownership of some land down there. The CLO, the commissioners of the land office, denied that request. Okay? That's all I know, that's all anybody here knows.
And let's stay on topic.
Yep, yep.
On the topic of
Yeah,
focus.
that's all right. So that's my point is, that's all we know. I mean, we just,
It wasn't like this.
no, ma'am,
It hadn't made it to
Nope.
that point, Susie.
had not made it to that point.
Well, and the answer
One-
is, we don't know
we-
at this point who all is involved in the operation. We have a couple of names that have come off publicly available applications, but that's all we know at this time.
And real quick to answer Danny's question, he raised a question of how small a filter. The average human hair, thank you Google, is about 100 microns. For fly ash, it will take a 10 micron or less filter. So you're asking for the schools. I don't know how small. That's too small for me to comprehend.
Most air filters for your car are 5 to 7 microns for the air filter in your car.
For the air filter in your car,
And that will damage an engine in a car too. Just like it will your
sure,
motor.
sure, okay.
Well, I think the key is to stop this, and we start, like you said, Mike, right here in numbers, and call your representatives.
That's gonna be our best option, right now, okay, for everyone. Anyone can do that, so.
Mr. Booz told us early on, when we found out about this project, that many times you have to win these things in the court of public opinion. So that's why we need your help.
And I stand by that.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
A quick question. Did you, Kathy?
yes, I have one. Do we know exactly where this is coming from? Is it, we
No.
don't?
The only thing we know for sure is the application says that the spent caustic comes from Marathon, so a Marathon refinery. We don't know which one, but I do know there are no Marathon refineries in Oklahoma.
Okay.
But no, I do not know that. I don't know if anybody else may, but I do not know that. So,
What's
it's,
the
it,
timetable or what's next?
well, that's more of what's next? What's the timetable? What's next, on all this?
Well,
It's-
right now, there's not a lot of updates on the process. I don't know how many of you were at the DEQ meeting in early January. They have a process where they review the permit application on the DEQ side. We got notice that they're taking a harder look at that. Once they decide to issue the permit or not issue it, we'll have the opportunity to make a formal objection to that. And that involves some other things where we can call for a hearing, et cetera, on that particular application. Corporation Commission, right now, there's no trial date set. I'm in somewhat regular contact with the attorney that's representing the applicant at the Corporation Commission. The main thing we're waiting on them for right now is, like we talked about earlier, to amend their application as we agreed. And those amendments should include their statements as to what they allege would be good cause for some of these variances.
So does both the Corporation Commission and the DEQ have to approve, the way I understood it? They both have to approve? No?
They're independent permits and they each have a different process.
Good point, yes, okay,
So that's why we have to talk to both.
right.
Okay, we have to appeal to both. Any other questions? It's getting a little longer than what I thought. One more. Yeah.
One thing that I have understood is with DEQ is that there is no rule that this can be around a town or homes and stuff. That was one of our big things. So how do we get that changed?
That's where we kind of get into the details and at the risk of not getting too much into the legal strategy, because that's attorney-client privilege material that's better talked about in that setting. There's ways to challenge the merits of the permit versus what the stated law is. And that's really, I think, the approach to that. And that's essentially what the DEQ talked about at the January meeting.
So is there no way to get them to get a rule like the Corporation Commission has, the 3-mile proximity to a town?
That would require a rules change or even a statutory change.
Wouldn't that be through our legislators?
And then that's right, and then you would run into questions of, since they filed the permit before that change was made, if they could still proceed with it. So that brings up a lot of different potential legal issues. Now, that said, I don't think that that's a reason to not press for a rule change or a statutory change. I think that we need to move forward on all fronts, and then if that occurred, we could handle the legal ramifications of that later.
Well, it's just like Brad, why is Brad here? What did he say? He says he does not want to see what they went through at Kremlin Hillsdale happen anywhere else. So just like Michael said, let's go ahead and push forward on that front, on any other front that we can. I mean, we're focused on this, but let's not let it go anywhere else.
And I think he's gonna be very persistent. David Dollar's looking for other farms to buy, as everybody knows. I think it's gonna be a hard fight.
Yes.
So
It's not easy.
over 2 miles, we start this over again?
If there's another application, yes.
And I think it's important, we have an oil and gas community here, and this is not anti-Oklahoma oil and gas. This is not about oil and gas. And, you know, this is about a toxic waste dump, and I'm just going to call it what it is. But I've been told by some people, I won't use their name, that Oklahoma Oil and Gas is not in favor of things like this. It gives the whole industry a bad name. So this is not anti-Oklahoma Oil and Gas. Okay?
Could we call OERB and get them involved in it also?
They're more of a reclamation
Yes.
entity.
No, they are for oil. They're part of controlling the whole oil industry though, because that is done by the oil companies, all the oil companies. And if they don't want a bad name for this,
You know,
if they were behind us, that would be a plus.
it's a valid point. Valid point. So,
I am on the OERB student board of directors.
well, there you go.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Any comments? Charlie, real quick.
Look it up, Marathon Refineries, Washington State, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, Texas, Louisiana, Alaska, California, North Dakota, Illinois, Utah, and Minnesota.
All right.
What have they been doing with this byproduct, this toxic product?
I do not know enough to comment on that. I know there's talk about how hard it is to dispose of it. Of course it is, but they have been. But they've been taking care of it.
My name is Pam Klein-Hayes. I live across the fence from where they have that big trash mess, oil field. You understand more about what they're cutting up pieces of oil field equipment and burning it with this stuff. I've been sick for several months because, you know, for whatever reason, but my lungs are getting really bad. And I suspect that it's because they are not supposed to burn up there. And I have talked to the OERB, no.
The DEQ,
The
I think,
DEQ.
yes, yeah.
Sorry, the DEQ, on a regular basis, and I've taken pictures and I've sent them videos regularly, and, you know, my comment to him when he called today was, what does he not understand about do not burn this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just smoking and going right over my house every day.
Yes.
He's, you know, he doesn't seem to understand, no. And the DEQ has not stopped him from doing it yet, and it's been going on for quite some time.
And see, that's,
I just want
yeah.
you to keep in mind that just because if they get this, there will not be any good solution to it at all.
And see, that's another part, and I mean, wrap it all together, another part to recognize of what Pam is going through and several others, Charlie, several others are going through. So,
Mike, have you had any response from Representative Zabriskie or anybody?
yes, from everybody there except for Governor Stitt.
And what is their plan, what's their idea about planning to go forward on?
Well, that's a little bit of, I'll use Michael's term, client attorney. It's sensitive issue. It's proprietary information right now.
Well, I think that old phrase, time is an essence. And
Right. Well, none of them have endorsed this product, or this facility, okay? None of them said they were in favor of it. They all seem to be concerned about it. Some have vocalized it a little bit more than others. But that's why we keep stressing on this, Mike. If the more they hear, the more they're going to understand it's not just me, it's not just, David or Denise, or it's not just a few. There's a group, there's a large group. So talk to them. Again, they're not shying away from it. All right? But it's like, what can they do right now? Where is it at right now? As Michael explained, the status of it right now, it is what it is. When's the best time to jump in? Let's hear more about it. Let's hear from more people. Okay, I guess is the best way to put it.
It's gonna be hard since it's on private property. I mean, he's putting this in. I mean, I can do little things to delay him, but it's gonna be hard.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yes, I will.
And if it was going to be easy, we wouldn't need this meeting. We wouldn't need all the efforts that we're doing. We understand.
What I wanted to mention was this property out here is not through the DEQ. It is not permitted. It is permitted through the Department of Mines.
Where he's doing
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything? And they have not come and checked it, to my knowledge, not very often anyway.
Well, evidently, because you can look at the place right by that he was formerly in, and you can see what it looks like right now.
Yeah, and I wonder what they're dumping in all that water.
Can I sum one thing up real quick, Mike?
Sure.
If this was completely up and up, I used to be in the utilities business. And I had to go to county commissioners meetings and I had to tell them what I was gonna do. This is truly on the up and up. Why are they not here providing us with the information of the safety and everything else? Tells me right there that they're not telling us everything in the truth.
I agree with that.
From the start.
From the start, through the application.
It's, anytime you're in litigation, and that's kind of what this is, it's kind of a hybrid of litigation and a permit process, really is what it is. And anytime you're in any kind of litigation, it's always a little bit of a cat and mouse game. At some point, they will have to, we have a right to a hearing on the Corporation Commission side of things. And at that hearing, it's a hearing held by an administrative law judge, and they bring witnesses, and I will get to ask those witnesses questions. I'll get to cross-examine anybody they put on, and then we get to call our own witnesses too. And so those types of hearings, I think, are the point where the truth really comes out, or supposed to come out. And again, we have the absolute right to that in the commission proceedings, and there's a procedure to call for a hearing as well in the DEQ case. And so there are some procedural safeguards for that. We're just not to that point in the process yet.
And just one other comment. You know, you would think with what we've presented, and you've seen the variances that they have requested, I mean, the most obvious is putting it within, they can't put it within 3 miles of a town, or they're 2.3 miles. And you would think the DEQ and the Oklahoma Corporation Commission would look at this and look at the exceptions or variances they're asking for, and common sense would tell you, well, we're not doing this, but we're not guaranteed that, so that's why we need your help. And, you know, I guess my other comment is, are we really gonna do a Nemaha project again after what has happened north of us? Are we really gonna let this happen again? I'm done.
So we're running long on time. I wish we had definite answers to all the questions. We do not yet. But that's why we're here to ask your help, just as David said, as Michael has said. So we appreciate each and every one of you being here. Appreciate the comments. If you have any questions, anything going down the line? Yeah.
You just said you appreciate us, but we appreciate you, David, and Michael. I don't know who else is involved. I know you guys have spent hours on this. I don't know who else in here is involved with you guys, but man, we appreciate you guys taking the lead on
Well,
this.
thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Keep us informed, because we wouldn't know without you guys.
Well, and see, and it's just, you know, we were on the front lines there, so we saw it, but I appreciate that. There's a group of us, you know.
Yeah, oh, I know.
Don't,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I know. I know
But,
you guys aren't the only ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
One more comment. A few years ago, they tried to put a private prison southeast of Hennessey. And with meetings like this, it was stopped. So
Okay.
we can stop this. I don't
Okay.
know how, but we can do it.
Well, and if we need to get together again, we will sure do it with everyone here and more. So, appreciate that. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing, guys. One more thing. On the sign-in sheet, if you want updates from me or anybody in our core group here, a lot of you already are on my list, but if you want updates, please put in your email address, or if you'd rather not, email your cell phone number so I can text you. I will keep you informed if you put your name down. Thank you. All right. We're good. Thank you, Jack.